a lot of my book, some of my book is a defense of the white working class that is this maligned group that really did participate in dismantling the opportunity structure that made their lives possible. So I understand why people are kind of mad at them, and some of them are truly racist. But there's also something sad about the way that their progress has plateaued and even begun to drop off. They are the most pessimistic group of Americans in the whole country. So, you know, and I saw, or I thought, that maybe with 2010, with Scott Walker, with some of the backlash against the white working class, frankly, that they would begin to see that the Republican Party was talking about them when they were talking about makers versus takers, that they would begin to see that the Republican Party had nothing to offer them, because I felt that they were starting to say that. But I feel like the Republican campaign of demonization of the president, of depicting him not only in racial terms, but we could talk about that, but as this far-left socialist crazy who was going to get the government involved in their Medicare, that campaign worked, unfortunately. So I felt like, oh, maybe somebody, I'm going to have a great point in at least the afterword where, like, my beloved right-wing cousin votes for Obama, even though he might be a little bit racist. But that didn't happen, I'm sorry to say.
So, what do you suppose, is it that they abhor the Democrats so much? I mean, it's this endless question, and I don't know why, I kind of ask it into the ether, but I'm asking it to you just because your DNA comes from this white working class place, that as we've evolved and our parties have turned into something different, and they stay with the Republican Party because why? You know what I mean? I just like, why? Because the Democrats are the Republican Party now. That's the part that's crazy, right? Well, so you're like, wait, you are that party, but so just go there now. It feels like it's more safe for disenfranchised Republicans to go to be a Democrat than it ever was when we actually had radical liberal values.
Well, I think that's the paradox, though, because I think that what a lot of them say is that the Democrats are no better than the Republicans in terms of they're both the party of business. And I think that they feel, I think that, you know, you go back to Richard Nixon, and you can go back beyond, I go back beyond it in my book. But if you go back to Richard Nixon and the success in sort of cultivating this hatred of the elites, and that the bad guys weren't big business, but big media and college professors and pointy heads, they found
people with brains.
People with brains. I mean, but look, they have brains too, and they, you know, so there's a divide in my family, for example, between let's just take my father's, actually both families. Anyone who went to college became and or stayed a Democrat, and anyone who didn't became or stayed a Republican. Now that sounds really elitist, and I don't mean it that way. I mean that the people who became Democrat, who got college educations, had better lives and were able to see things in a different way and sort of profited from the way society was going, whereas the white working class didn't profit from the way society was going, but drew the wrong conclusions about why that happened.